Good afternoon, Sunday 20th of January 2018. It's Lionheart 84 here. I've been mixing up some compost to pot up the plants that I received today. I made my own blends because what comes in the bag isn't really suitable for what I wanted. It's for persimmons, and I probably will repot the figs as well as I've got time and the weather's nice today. Basically I had some old grow bags to use up that had tomatoes in them, which I didn't want to waste completely, so I've added about approximately 1/3 of a compost from the grow bags to 1/3 of a regular multi-purpose compost to 1/3 of my favourite organic soil improver, which makes a big difference to the quality of the soil. So I've mixed these in these large tubs so that I've got plenty of compost to use, and then into that blend I've added a little bit of cocoa coir, some perlite, a little bit of horticultural sand and some horticultural fine grit to give me extra drainage, and I've also mixed in a small quantity of fish blood and bone and a granular slow release fertiliser. I've only put small quantities in because I don't want to risk burning the new roots, but I think they need a little bit of food in the spring to get them going. So I've just mixed in some handfuls of that, and in a minute we're going to have a go at potting up some plants, which I won't be able to film because I can't do it with one hand and I haven't got anybody here to help me. But I'll show the sort of finished product. Here's one other little thing that I like to do when I'm planting. In the bottom of each pot I've got about 2 to 3 inches of slate. I suppose that's about probably about 7 or 8 centimetres, and the reason I do that obviously increases drainage, but because I stand the pots on trays especially in summer and winter, I like to make sure that if they get overwatered or we get a lot of rain, the soil doesn't get waterlogged. So what this does is, by having the drainage in the bottom of the pots, the water overflows from these shallow trays before it reaches the top of the slates, which means that the soil isn't in contact, direct in contact, with a pool of water. So hopefully it won't soak the water up and get saturated. But once the plant roots grow, they will grow down into that little water reservoir among the slates at the bottom, so if they need extra water they'll get it, but the soil itself won't be waterlogged, so hopefully we don't get root rot. So that's how I do it. I'm sure someone else would say it's completely wrong, but it seems to work for me. So I'm going to fill up these 2 large containers with some soil first and put a couple of trees in just to get started, and then we'll try and get the other 2 or 3 done. I'll be back to you shortly. Okay, that's the first one planted. As the Asian pear was the tallest, I've decided to plant that first and put that in the biggest pot. I put some mycorrhiza into the root hole first, just a small amount, which I've been recommended to use on bare root trees. And there's the plant. Must be 6 feet tall. I'm actually going to cut it back, but I'll probably do that in the spring when the worst of the cold weather's out the way, because I don't want to risk any dieback on it now, and I think it's too tall. I'd like it to branch out a little bit shorter because I don't want a particularly large tree. I've had to use a bamboo cane on this one as there wasn't much of a root system, and I think the wind will rock it around in the pot. So that's the first one done. I'm only going to give them a very light watering because it's probably going to be frosty again tonight, and I don't really want to risk the plants getting particularly frozen roots, but I like a little bit of moisture on it just to get rid of any air locks in the air pockets in the soil. I'll probably put I'll probably put the Persimmon Garretson into a large pot as well, because that's quite a large specimen as well. I want it to get off to a good start and not have to repot it too soon. So I'll be back in a minute after that one's done. Okay, so I just thought I'd show, this is the mycorrhizal fungi I was talking about, that comes in a granular form that you can put in with bare root trees to help them develop the root system. This is the Garretson persimmon now planted. It's a 50 centimetre pot. To be honest, I'm not sure what literage or gallons that is, but I guess it's a good must be a good 5, 6, maybe even a 10-gallon pot. You can see it's planted, that's the graft there, where they grade on the seedling rootstock, so it's graft's well above the soil level. I've left some room at the top of the pot so that later on, when they've been well established, we can get a little bit of, they can have a nice top dressing or some mulch on them. And the same goes for the for the pear. Left probably a couple of inches, 5 centimetres at the top of the pot, so there's plenty of opportunity to put a top dressing on there later on. And it also allows for watering, so you can get a good soaking, and when it hasn't been raining for a while. I shall carry on with the others and come back to you in a minute. Okay, so that's Persimmon Morris Burton now potted up. That's one of the Diospyros Virginiana, so that's an American persimmon. That's in a 45 centimetre pot, so I didn't have any more large ones. I'm going to guess that's about 8 gallons, probably about 35 litres, not sure exactly, doesn't matter too much. That's quite a nice height as well. That's approximately about 5 feet tall in the pot. So in a minute I'll water it in and see how that's going. Just one more plant to put in now. Just got the Persimmon Kostata to plant up, and then I'll probably do the figs, and then I'll be done, and I can have a go at editing videos to see if I can manage it. Okay, so this is the Persimmon Kostata. That's an Asian one. I think it's an astringent variety. I've put that in, it's quite a lot smaller than the other tree, so I've decided to start that in a 33 centimetre pot, which according to the capacity on the bottom was 9 litres, so that's 2 gallons. I think a 2-gallon pot will be enough for the moment because it's a small plant, but I'll probably have to repot that next winter, and or certainly the spring after, as long as I keep it well watered this year, see how it goes. And I think I'll probably put the 2 figs into 2-gallon pots and be done with, so I've got to do them later in the season. So those 2 are coming up, and then we're done. Okay, so the final 2 are now planted. That's the small one. Well, it's not focusing, can't read the label, but that is Verdone. I'll put that in a smallish pot because I want to get the roots well established next year. It's all looking fine. I put it in a nice sheltered position away behind some other pots, so it should stay protected there. And if we walk around here, this is the other fig. I've put that in a 2-gallon pot as well, and that one is Goutte D'Or. So that was well and truly pot bound in its very small pot, so obviously I'm hoping that that should develop very nicely in the spring. It's already a good shape, and as I said, that one's already got some embryo figs on it, so there's a possibility if the roots establish well I might even allow it to get a fig or 2 on it this year. So we're done outside, going to move inside now and have a bit of tidy up, and try and post these on the YouTube a little bit later. Thanks for watching. It's Lionheart84 out for now, having a busy couple of hours.